My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is P.O.C. All right, it's not going to be the cause of headlights. And it's while they're engaging in psychopathic pacing together. So replace this with the fake sun that's aimed on me, rising right here. And what are they all doing? Psychopathic pacing, and that which is not sunlight. And my shadow is moving all over the place, right? All over the wall. That's the Ontario Police, is what you need to understand when you're prosecuting an entity. And I documented all of that. 602 North Euclid Avenue. Those are sex offenders whose license plates, everybody on that property, is published on the video of the internet. And they are all sharing in what is ongoing gang stalking to date on another day after being documented as relevant to federal charges. This is sexual violence that's committed as an entity. And headlights are not reaching from that distance, causing a projected upright magnified size of my shadow. And you're looking at all of them, and they're even driving through it, creating light activity over here. And who are that? The gang members. That's the gang members of the Ontario Police. That's what they're doing while the fake sun's right here. And they're driving it, and the shadows of their vehicles are moving across the wall. It's the same pattern of conduct. 602 North Euclid Avenue with the Ontario Police Department. P.O.C. That's the ease with which, the impunity with which the terrorists, the enemies of the United States, the Ontario Police Department engage in and continuously engage in what is terrorism while they are caught. No police department wants to be exposed for that which the Ontario Police have been exposed as. And when you're looking at the evidence, now that they're psychopaths and they can't hide it, now they're being the terrorists that they've been the entire time. And they're doing so as though they don't care about being documented, as though they don't care about the consequences, but they do. You're dealing with psychopaths. You're dealing with psychopaths with high sense of delusional sense of self, ego. And that ego is superseding the well-being of their families because they're not getting a dime when they're fired. They're being prosecuted as terrorists, and they are permanently done with law enforcement. They're engaging in sexual violence on the roads and the highways. They're doing so while they're engaging in surveillance by literally driving on the roads and the highways because they're monitoring. And what you need to understand is recognizing the pattern. It's the same pattern with the fake sun aimed on me. And you know it's a fake sun because it's still here hours later where that department is stalking. And they're doing so with the people of the state. Driving doesn't cause engineer light. Artificial lights don't cause this light activity on the ground. And you have the fake moon, which is with regard to what is the environment that's centered on me, where they're all stalking. That's the P.O.C. And the fact that the people of the state are still stalking, that's why you're going to disband the Ontario Police Department. That's why they're going to prison. But the fact that they're still stalking, this is speaking to a national security threat. These are homegrown terrorists. And this is a terrorist system that's underway, a system that's underway in the United States. P.O.C. This is criminal conduct. They're not free to engage in any, and they're going to be prosecuted accordingly. They're not free to engage in being present on the road. You know why? Because the Ontario Police, the state of California, the entity itself has no warrant, no probable cause to engage in surveillance, which is exactly what this is in that engineer light under the fake moon. While they're engaging in what is gang stalking, where they're engaging in criminal monitoring, they're engaging in maintaining that engineer light. While they're keeping you under surveillance, there's no warrant, no probable cause, and no legitimate interest by the government. And they're doing so through the people who have no right under the Constitution. It's public corruption, and it's also that which is conspicuous surveillance, which is an unlawful threat, an unprecedented threat, while they're conspiring your murder. They're totally vulnerable. And they're doing this 24 hours a day. P.O.C. It's 1:09 a.m. Yeah, that's not headlights. Your headlights while you're driving in this direction, and my shadow was moving up, magnified in size, moving in this direction. And as you look at my evidence, you will see varying forms of the light activity while they're engaging in what is substantially similar conduct. Driving, stalking me, molesting me while turning on this street, stalking me, molesting me while driving on this street, stalking me, molesting me while driving in the opposite direction on the opposite side of the street. And you've seen all manner of different forms of the same light activity, but it's occurring in different ways while they're engaging in the same thing. Even though it's not even their headlights, you can analyze the inconsistency with the demon-possessed a conduct of stalking with light. They're going to be diagnosed for this. They're going to be committed with regard to stalking with light as psychopathic conduct. It's mentally ill conduct. In other words, those that are stalking with light, those are serial killers. Those are pedophiles. Those are psychopaths. This is the entity that's engaging in what is very deranged behavior. And the stalking with light conduct is a direct indicator regarding what is a threat to you based on that deranged mindset, that malicious behavior, that criminal conduct that's conspicuously happening in your face that they're gratified by for a criminal purpose. P.O.C. That's impossible light activity. And that's impunity by the entity. Ontario police are still stalking. Understand that through a population, they're being disbanded. Those enemies are done. They're enemies. And so are the people of the state. Removing evidence off the internet, you're going to prison. You're going to prison. And the entity, this is the entity that engages in that, and they're still stalking. You're analyzing the stalker at all times. They're one. These are not individuals. They're together, engaged in surveillance together. They're molesting with light while they're over there. They're molesting with light while they're at 602 North Euclid Avenue. You're not going to blind me with headlights. Your headlights aren't going to swim across that building. These are demons, and it's criminal surveillance, and you're stalking while you want to touch on my body with light. That's a sex offender. The mens rea of a sex offender, a predator, a co-conspirator of murder. And they call themselves a police department. No, they're not, and they're going to be removed so that they cannot engage in what is essentially corrupting the notion of law enforcement. They're criminals. They're gang members. They're demons. They're literally demons. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 1:12 a.m. And what are you recalling? Tracy Banks and the Ontario Police engage in criminal summoning while they're gang stalking. Seconds later, all right, moments later, the ongoing pattern of conduct. They're stalking me by helicopter this morning, psychopathic pacing, and then they're engaging in what is criminal summoning. After removing evidence off the video of the internet where they're keeping this investigation about them under surveillance, unlawful intrusion in a federal case. They are going to prison. For the entity to continuously maintain surveillance is the basis of prison. These are terrorists. This is exposing what are homegrown terrorists, and this is the entity that's actually engaged in murder. They're not investigating criminal conduct that they engage in, that they commit. The police aren't investigating them. The police are acting with them. This is a surveillance system. They know what's going on. That's what's relevant behind stalking with light. It's conduct that is predatory. It's conduct that's in furtherance of surveillance while they're monitoring to commit murder. That is very much the entity that engages in that is speaking to a threat to the public, a threat with regard to harming people. They're doing that, remember, while I'm documenting it. So you're preying upon, you're stalking and attacking and targeting someone that knows about it, and it does not deter them. They don't stop engaging in it. In fact, the documentation shows that they engage in it more. That's exactly what the Ontario Police Department did in this video. This is P.O.C. It is 1:13 a.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue. P.O.C. That's the city of Ontario. With the cloud formation. Let me back up some. The entity is also stalking by Southwest Airlines. This is the housing community. They're, like I stated, when they're hovering behind Chevron, like they're landing over here, there's nothing but houses back here. And I'm documenting their license plates. They're all gang stalking. That's why the fake sun is over me. We're, under the law, going to be prosecuted as terrorists, residing in this place of the government, maintaining criminal surveillance at facilitating venues where they live, exploiting the Constitution, referring to them as private properties, which they are not. The government is dwelling in the environment while they are maintaining the elements of monitoring, as I've shown the engineer light, the fake sun, the stalking by the government in the sky space. That is the interstate commerce, the channels of interstate commerce where the entity is engaging in what is criminal surveillance. This demon at the corner with the minor child in the back seat maintaining flashing light activity. They are maintaining activity while they're driving up and down the street. License 8NRF058, Southwest Airlines. That's the entity that's stalking together. License 6HGA723, a family of demons also. This is the entity that's engaged in that. There's no airport over here. So this is the entity through the housing community, flying over their homes, gang stalking together. 6ESD172, and this is rampant mental illness. 9KVM572 has his communication device in hand while he crosses path molesting my person. And this is a molestation. It is under the fake sun where the airport is stalking and doing so surveillance, relevant to where I'm located, because they're engaging in what is doing that while I'm at the ARCO parking lot. Okay, this is west over here at this same location where I was this morning, speaking to surveillance. 209, 201, 213, 222, 2112. These are the addresses of the demon possessed that are living in facilitating venues where they will be prosecuted, where the government is dwelling. P.O.C. License plate 7JXN257. Maintaining sexual assault and battery on the roads and the highways pursuant to surveillance. This is the environment, and this is what they're molesting my person with. And they're doing so as immigrants, terrorists, foreigners that are in this country engaging in terrorism with the United States government. That's not a coincidence. That's not an accident. That's deliberate. And it is homegrown terrorism that the United States government sponsors. These are the addresses along E Street. This is the same ARCO where is engaging that apartment building while they are stalking in the path while I'm in that parking lot. They're doing so over the housing community where I told you where they're dipping behind Chevron when I'm at the bus stop. There's no airport over here. Okay, there's no takeoffs over here. They're flying over here, hovering over the people who are stalking, maintaining activity. Pacing is what this is.
7UQZ 696, and it's exposing what you need to be aware of. The mentally ill that are engaging in criminal monitoring in the United States, and it's a government system, and this is the mentally ill, a population of the demon-possessed. That's their infection, that's their infirmity, that's their condition when they're engaged in criminal conduct. 8BZM430, and it is relevant to identifying the behavioral pattern that's in that environment, which is supernatural. 9TIR292, and it's currently 12:52 p.m. The Ontario Police are engaging in the pattern of conduct with nothing other than a vehicle with a logo identifying what is criminal surveillance conspicuously underway by those that are masquerading as law enforcement, with a dog on a leash under the fake sun while I'm here in the morning, gang stalking with the people of the state. 7VVP628, serial stalker engaging in surveillance in this parking lot. Okay, stalking me as I'm coming from the OVITT Family Community Library at nightfall while the airport maintains plane activity over me here. And this is also where the documented fake sun is at in the evening, where that airport is stalking and doing so pursuant to surveillance of everything and everywhere that I go. 8UQE642. This is the same street where the fake sun is rising. I captured that at 7:20 in the morning yesterday. I'm capturing the entity keeping the fake sun while Ontario police and the veterinarians are engaging in what is criminal summoning. All right, their presence is there pursuant to what is some sort of means of executing their duty as an officer. All right, this is all the malicious form of stalking someone conspicuously, and she's going to prison. She's on video, and this is the evidence putting her in prison, and so are the people of the state that are engaged in criminal summoning. The same agency that's engaged in stalking me by helicopter, the same agency that's engaged in then harassing with regard to speaking to what is the municipal code or somebody, we got a call. Who's calling them? The people of the state. And that's if the call even actually happened. But this is corrupt, the corrupt system of the entity providing what are a paper trail. You go ahead and in federal court provide the identification of that third party because they're going to federal prison. And so is the one responding to that. While they're stalking me by helicopter and removing the evidence that I put on the internet about them offline, where they're engaging in surveillance. This is affecting your devices, the light activity, the presence under the sun, the noise that they're making while they're surrounding. This is ominous stalking. This is a threat. They're conspicuously stalking. 9BTG977, 8ANN318. And at nightfall, they're doing this with their headlights aimed on you, and it's not their headlights either, nor is this the sun, and it's not sunlight. And it's not sunlight that's covering everything. And it would not be the sun when I'm on this street at the OVITT Family Community Library at 9 o'clock in the morning. And we're still looking at the same Euclid Avenue, Lemon Avenue, East Street, where the airport is stalking. That airport is being shut down. In the same way that they're gang stalking me with the population, they're committing murders across the country. That's what UPS committed in Kentucky. I've said it and I'm going to say it again. They are a threat to national security, and they're being shut down as a matter of justice, making a point about terrorism that is not going to be tolerated in the United States. The Ontario International Airport is fully aware of that and is keeping this evidence under surveillance. Southwest Airlines, Amazon Prime Air, and the entity, the gang stalking people of the state using those airline companies are targeting with the people, communicating an ongoing unlawful threat while they're engaged in surveillance right in your face, stalking with light, doing so gang stalking you in their homes, and they're communicating a threat while the entity is engaged in what is sounding sirens while you're in their neighborhood, while the entity is flying over you by helicopter while you're in their neighborhood, while the entity is stalking you by commercial planes while you're in their neighborhood. The entity is engaged in that P.O.C. with an unlawful threat that the people are going to be prosecuted for. I will drag you from your facilitating venue and you will wind up in prison. 8MPG300. This is the prosecution of domestic terrorists who are then filling the venue of the OVITT Family Community Library and keeping my vagina under surveillance on behalf of the same government, where this fake sun is still present hours from now after 4 p.m. as though that's the sun. And you don't know that Myra and Alexander Grigg have severe mental issues while they're pacing inside of that venue to and from the circulation desk and administration door, monitoring me, because that's what this is. Stalking my every move and every word that I say as they're maintaining activity creation. They're doing that inside of a building where this fake sun is aimed on me at 4 and 5 o'clock in the evening. The absurdity of what they're engaging in is a threat. Their mental illness is a threat, and their state action vicariously underway is a threat. This is all surveillance, and this is the prosecution, the entity that conspired my murder. And this is where Tracy Banks is conspicuously stalking me and did it on video last night. Criminal summoning is the police department stalking, and Tracy Banks injected herself right into that video evidence after this entity removed my evidence off of X, AEXP506. That's federal prison. She's already going to federal prison. So the entity, again, that suicidal mindset, I'm already going to prison, so I might as well threaten an American citizen in their face. I have nothing to lose, so I might as well take their life. XYZ, you fill in the blank. That's the unlawful threat posed by the government that committed criminal summoning right here where the fake sun is over me the next day where it's remaining for hours. This is where the fake moon was over me, where Tracy Banks and the Ontario police are committing criminal summoning. On video, after this entity removed itself from my X platform. While I'm speaking to the fact that they're threatening and terrorizing, stalking by helicopter with the same Ontario police as I put their license plates on the internet. License 7SJK928 is acting with impunity, and that's okay? It's not okay, but it's going to be okay because justice is going to make that demon, that terrorist, regret it. P.O.C. It is currently 12:57 p.m. The OVITT Family Community Library does not have a sun over it now, and that's not the state of affairs when I am there and documenting the fact that that fake sun is remaining from the point of entry in the morning until I exit in the evening. But when I'm not there, that's when the fake sun is no longer, it hasn't even been in that direction yet because I haven't been there. OVITT Family Community Library is a gang stalker and a co-conspirator of murder and a facilitator of all of the above, and I will be prosecuting for the kidnapping that they've created, that they've engaged in, committed, but also for the ongoing obstruction of justice. This is P.O.C. Just want to show you what's surrounding. I got this license already. The entities controlling the traffic lights sent, this is Sarah's Regis Group, stalking. You're going to prosecute the property as well while the entity is engaging. What is this? Is stalking as I move from the town square. This is also license plate. This is the entity. Ontario Police are being disbanded. 9KHK209. This is the entity that's stalking on the roads and the highways. This is federal stalking, and this is a threat to your life. They're co-conspiring on your murder while they are surrounding. And it's one after another, so they're not departing from the pattern of conduct. They are doing this as you are going everywhere, while the entity's stalking by planes, while the entity's stalking by helicopter, while the entity's engaging what is all manner of what is monitoring your physical movement, and that is in the environment where you have this engineered light. They're all stalking, and that's going to be prosecuted. Wells Fargo is stalking. A downtown Ontario luxury apartments is stalking, while the entity is doing so on the roads and the highways. This is not traffic, it's surveillance. So I want to show you what is a means of identifying surrounding. And this is the entity that's psychologically torturing you while obsessively stalking. They're doing this while they are very hostile because I'm publishing their identities while they're stalking. These are the murderers who are the enemies of the United States, the people of the state. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 10:26 p.m. This is upon my departing from Ontario Town Square, where the entity's been maintaining ongoing stalking conduct by the airport and by the Ontario Police. And as I ignore them, they engage in more and more of it, meaning I'm not stopping what I'm doing to take pictures of them because they're already prosecuted. The airport is being shut down and the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded, and all of them that engaged in terrorizing me as I document, they're all going to prison. That's why I didn't stop tonight to document it. I don't need it. The people of the state are going to prison as well. This is P.O.C. All right, this is my shadow, and her co-defendant is stalking coming down the street right here. This is crossing path and engineer light. They're driving over my shadow. They're stalking together. And this is the one that's making the threat about summoning the Ontario Police, the gang members who are engaged in what is stalking me day and night in helicopter. She is going to prison. She's engaged in serial stalking at a facilitating venue where the people of the state are gang stalking, where they live, where they dwell. And you are going to prison for making a threat, which is audible activity while you're conspiring my murder. And you have the audacity to be stalking. Doing so, stepping outside of your home to engage in the P.O.C. with the people of the state who are stalking in the path with light. I took a picture in the middle of the street. What you'll see in the picture is a demon stalking in the path behind and in front with light activity, crossing path and stalking in front with light activity in the engineered light. And this is where I captured in the video where she's making a threat, the Ontario Police, the Ontario International Airport, which is also the Ontario Police, the entity. But the airport in particular is stalking, and also showing that the airport will have no flights from Terminal 2, Terminal 4, where they are clearly targeting this space. They're targeting in this engineered light, and she is targeting and using her audible activity to make a threat regarding kidnapping, because that's why you're referring to the gang members that are stalking me by helicopters, who are kidnappers and murderers. All right, and she's stalking tonight. I just want to document that. This is C Street. This is on the record while I'm capturing all manner of the pattern of conduct. It's 10:32 p.m. P.O.C. License 9CNX328. Stalking with the Ontario right here. That's federal. I just want to let you know that. They're committing sexual assault and battery with the entity that is stalking me by helicopter as I walk through the neighborhood. While the entity is engaging in what is ominous stalking. This is what they do while the fake sun's over you and they're sitting around on the side of the street, doing so while you're being molested with light. That's what I documented at 12:49 p.m. with you've got your lights on. There's no traffic impending right here. This is somebody that is stalking. That's a threat to your life, what you're looking at. And it is federal prison because it's the Ontario Police Department doing so through the people of the state. These are the terrorists who are the demon possessed. This is a demon, first of all. You need to understand that this is also a third party and they're engaged in a readily identifiable environment. This is a stalker that's conspiring my murder with the police department. And they go to federal prison for this. This is a sex offense while I'm being touched. This is how you're analyzing, because the people of the state are going to be prosecuted as sex offenders. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct committed thousands of times against me every day. The entity is stalking by helicopter. This is the license plate I'm going to get because this is federal prison. Loss of children, any custody of children, deportation if an immigrant, P.O.C, license plate 9PZF062. They are stalking in the middle of the night a woman while the entity is relying on that by stalking me by helicopter as I'm walking through. Everybody is stalking. All of them. License plate 7JEM130. The entire entity, the state of California, is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. I document and identify sex offenders by license plate, by addresses, as I get their images. And as one is molesting, they are all molesting together. In the same way that you commit a robbery, a partnership, engage in that criminal act together, both partners are going down for any and everything reasonably foreseeable to result from that violent crime. And the entities committing sexual violence together, stalking together, while they're in their homes, they are engaged in the pattern of conduct. That's why you see the fake sun remaining over me as I walk by any of where they live. That's why the fake moon is over me. That's why the gang stalking police department is stalking by helicopter. This is the entity that's no question engaging in targeting. And the entity has the audacity to commit kidnappings, referring to the municipal code. Just as an example, Craig Hazelwood is a demon-possessed, vagina-monitoring stalker who had a gun on his waist, a badge on his chest, while he was stalking me with light, just like that psychopath was, that was stalking in an alley, stalking a woman, chasing me down, following me. They're demons who are psychopaths. They're murderers. They are not police officers. And Craig Hazelwood and Owens are going to federal prison. This is the criminal conduct that they were engaging in while I'm at the bus stop. Stalking, and it's conspicuous stalking, pursuant to psychological torture and sexual violence. They're going to prison, and all of these sex offenders right here are documented. P.O.C.
License plate 7UDB 851, or excuse me, 7UDB 151. And they just wanted to be here to molest while a crackhead is monitoring with DDs. You're going to prosecute DDs. They're in there monitoring with the crackheads outside, the sex offenders. And you just saw the images of the Ontario police, okay, who thought vagina monitoring was going to be a secret that nobody would ever believe when I uttered it. And it was pathetic and disgusting and criminal then, and it's pathetic, disgusting, and criminal now that everybody knows that it's a fact and that I was never lying about it. They're stalking in the parking lot with crackheads, with sex offenders, which they are, in a police vehicle, just using the speaker, that's audible activity, fake one, and doing so in front of the habit in relevant position while I'm over here. And then you have, again, the Ontario police through the people of the state that just want to come. What do they want to do? All they want to do is touch all over my body. These are sex offenders. They're just demon possessed. The demon possessed are sexually violating you by touching your breast, touching your groin, touching your thighs, touching your buttocks, touching all over your body with engineered light. And that's a predator whose license plate I just read, and they're doing so with in concert on behalf of the Ontario police, who engage in sexual violence through the masses. So they're no ordinary sex offender, not only because they are the government engaging in sexual violence and stalking while they are conspiring, murdering, and kidnapping you. They are no ordinary sex offender because they do so as demons. They do so in absurdly deranged methods. So unprecedented, so unfamiliar that you're not aware that you're being violated. That's speaking to trauma. That's not speaking to the absence of a harm being committed. That's speaking to trauma. That's speaking to psychological torture because you are aware of a harm. You're just not aware of the depths of harm. It's at a spiritual level. That's getting to psychological torture, everything that I'm speaking to. Psychological torture, the sex offenders of the Ontario police, because that's what's committing sexual assault and battery. So is Dee Dee's, the RICO case. All right. And so the entity that's gang stalking, I'm just getting to where I'm at right now. This is the prosecution of the state of California. Sex offenders are waiting to engage in touching my body. That's what this is. This is surveillance, double dutch. Whoever is around me, that's who's molesting. They're making sure it's not traffic. That's not the moon. This is showing who is being targeted.
And this is relevant to the images that you'll see of the Ontario police. Psychopaths pacing with the people of the state, molesting with the people of the state, doing it via the people of the state, sitting around monitoring the whole time. Those are vagina monitors who are being immediately released from their jobs with no pay. You're not getting a dime. You're not getting a retirement. You're not getting a 401k. You're not getting any of the benefits that are associated with what is resigning or leaving a post regarding law enforcement. This is not law enforcement. You're proven as terrorists. You're going to be promptly removed with $0. You're not getting any money. I just want to be clear on that while you're gang stalking me day and night. That's the P.O.C. because that's Ontario Police. That's why I'm speaking to. That's the Ontario Police Department. And this is prosecuting the state. I'm in the city of Ontario. In every city, this is how the pattern of conduct operates. This is the prosecution of the state of California. It's P.O.C. It's 11:15 p.m. while crackheads. That's a threat by Mike Lorenz. Engaging in what are the entity that's stalking in the middle of the night to engage in something as sick as just wanting to be in my path, that ominous stalker. Okay, and aim light on you. It's demonic. It's pursuant to monitoring. And it's while they're hostile. They're hostile because all of you know that they've been monitoring my vagina for years while conspiring with Tracy Banks, conspiring with Jason Fields, conspiring with these pedophiles, having sex rituals, using witchcraft that doesn't work on me while I've been prosecuting you the whole time to have you all committed. It's the P.O.C. It's currently 11:15 p.m.